All right, before I entered the lawn care business, one of the things I used to stare at people doing was edging with their string trimmer. I just think, how those guys do that? And now, after years in the lawn care business, I've figured out, and I want to make it as simple as possible. We're going to share with you 5 tips to help you be better at edging with a string trimmer. I've got 2 of my other landscaping friends with me, and we're gonna all pitch in and make a great video to help you be successful at edging with your string trimmer.
All right, so our first tip for today, I want to show you the importance of not having your string too long or too short, because when it comes to string trimming, there's kind of a technique there, and you can actually end up blowing up a weed eater if you do it wrong, for too long. So really quickly, I want to show you here, we have this nice speed feed head. I would really recommend this if you are doing string trimming, just because you can reload it very fast and it's very efficient. So right now the string is way too short. We're going to crank up the weed eater, and I want you to hear what it sounds like on the engine, so you can hear how short it is. So I hope you can hear there that the engine is revving way too much. The RPMs are getting way too high. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna knock the string out just by bumping the head, and we're gonna let it get longer, and we're gonna let it get too long actually. So in it getting too long, you're gonna hear the engine rev down. The RPMs are gonna get too low because it can't go, they can't rev high enough because the string is too long. And then we're gonna find that happy medium to get your string trimming level, take it to the next level. So I hope you can hear there that you can tell the string is way too long now. Look how long we have it. So long story short, we want our string to be about halfway like that. What is that? Maybe 3 inches out from the head, 3 or 4 inches at the most on each side. We actually want to now go put it in action. I'm gonna show you what it looks like as we edge with the right length. Okay, so now we're gonna put it in action. I'm gonna show you if it gets too long, it's actually the edge is not gonna be as clean as it is. And if it's too short, your head's gonna be hitting the ground. So I wanna show you here the perfect length on how we get a good edge. So that is a pretty decent edge. The string is the right length, I believe. It's not the most perfect edge I've ever seen, but that is the basics to at least get you started. The string now is, maybe that's a little longer than 4 inches, maybe 4 or 5 inches on each side. Depends on what size weed eater you're using as well. Some of the larger weed eaters with the bigger motors, you can get it a little longer. But that's tip number 1 on how to string trim correctly.
All right, tip number 2 for edging with your string trimmer, and you may have noticed this, but we actually take the guard off. Now I want to explain this, and I'm going to say this first. Make sure you're wearing your PPE. I've got glasses on to protect me from that. And if you feel in danger by taking the guard off, then by all means, please leave the guard on. And understand that by taking the guard off, you may be voiding your warranty, and you may be a little bit more risk of causing damage, things like that. So if you feel like you need to wear a face shield or whatever with the guard off, but for edging purposes, and I would say take the guard off at your own risk. But for me personally, and a lot of my professional landscaper friends, we prefer to take the guard off. Now here's the reason why. 1, when you take the guard off, we talked about having the string the correct length. Sometimes when the guard's on, it cuts the string too short in my opinion, and it makes it difficult. But when it comes to edging, when you flip the edger upside down, when the guard is there, the guard is actually in your line of sight, and I can't see what I'm doing very well. Now some of you may be so practiced at it that it's not a problem, you can still do it. I can still do it, but to me, my vision is impaired. Because of that, I can't see the edge as well. So I personally, whether I'm edging or just regular trimming with a string trimmer, I prefer to have the guard off.
Tip number 3 is making sure you actually establish your edge. So if you're doing a weekly edge trimming, once your edge is established, and you can kind of routine through that channel by cleaning it out. But sometimes you'll have a property where there's really no edge established at all. So this isn't that bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and kind of trench out an edge. And if you have a blade edger, you could obviously get it started like that, but the string trimmer tool will definitely work to kind of getting your edge going and making sure that you actually have something to work with. So here we're gonna dig down and really carve off our edge. And I want to emphasize it's a one-time thing. You don't have to do this every time, but the first time. So basically, now if you do this in a few days or a week from now, you can just glide right through there. And I was going back and forth trying to trench it out. You can just kind of go one time and it's going to go ahead and give you a nice crisp edge. But establishing that edge the first time around is a pro tip.
Okay, so the first 3 tips were amazing on edging. This is tip number 4, and this is one that's really crucial to me, I believe, and it's gonna really make it a lot easier for you in the process. So most weed eaters that I've ever used, the head spins counterclockwise. If you're looking at the head like this right here, then it's spinning counterclockwise. So you wanna go the direction that the head is spinning. You don't wanna make yourself work any harder and try to control the weed eater when you go the opposite of the direction. So what I'm saying is when you flip edge, it's gonna be spinning where it goes like this. So when I'm walking this way, I wanna walk with the direction the head spins. Because if I go this way, then it's gonna throw off. We talked about earlier how if you get the string too long, that it's gonna create your edge, you're gonna start wobbling. That's what's gonna happen if you go if you go counter the way the head spins, because I wanna show you really quickly here. We'll just demonstrate it really fast. If you go clockwise, or if you go the way the head spins like this, so just like that, it's just very easy. It's just smooth, you just walk with it. You just kind of walk backwards like that, sideways, backwards. And then I'm gonna show you going against the grain and how much harder it is. So this yard has been edged pretty decently. It's kind of a bad example as far as like when you go against the grain, it just makes it a little more unstable, especially if you're trying to establish an edge or do it on a weekly property where the grass is super tall. One little mistake into the yard and it's gonna show for a while. So my advice is always go the way that the head spins, walk sideways, backwards, and that is the best way that I have found the edge, string trimming and flip edging works for me.
All right, before I give you the 5th tip, I wanted to tell you, like, why is it important to edge with a string trimmer? Is it just to impress people or what? Why can't you just use a stick edger? Well, if you like using a stick edger, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like when you're edging around a tree ring or a flower bed that doesn't have a border, then it doesn't make sense. You don't see a lot of people out there with a stick edger. So yeah, if you want to use a stick edger on sidewalks and driveways, that's great. But this is still a good skill to have as a landscaper to build an edge around those tree rings. Now the 5th tip, and not everybody's going to agree with me here. I know Paul is holding his trimmer a little bit different, maybe up like this and using your finger, which is absolutely nothing wrong with it. The end goal is to make a nice perpendicular line to the ground surface. But for me, the way that I found it's easiest to edge with a string trimmer and fastest too, if I'm just holding the trimmer like this and I'm along here trimming, and then I get to where I need to do something where I need to edge, I just make one move right there. So I'm just holding it like this and I flip it. Okay, holding it and I'm flipping it. Okay, so if I'm holding it like this, trimming, all I do is make one quick move where I flip it like that. And now look, I'm upside down. Now I may have to adjust the angle just a little bit by the way I hold it to get it vertical, because what you really want is your line to be perpendicular to the ground. So again, I'm holding it like this, I'm trimming with my finger on the trigger, and in one move, I'm flipped upside down, now I'm using my thumb. And that's all, I can go back and forth so fast like that. So I'm doing that. So anyway, just don't overcomplicate things. Let me demonstrate real quick. I'm just gonna trim a little bit and then I'm gonna flip it and show you how fast I can go back and forth from one to the other. You see, I can trim right here. Sometimes if the lawnmower don't always get up to the sidewalk, I'm trimming. Then I flip and I'm edging again. Then I can flip back. It's super fast and convenient. Appreciate Paul Jamison and Jeremiah Jennings helping me out. You can follow those guys online. Jeremiah Jennings at Growing Green Landscapes. Paul Jamison at the Green Industry Podcast. I'm Jason Creel. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned how to edge with your string trimmer today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And we'll see you guys in the next video.